Room 217 at the old Grand Majestic Hotel was different. Cold, heavy, and silent, as if the very walls held their breath. Unlike the other rooms, which echoed with distant laughter and the faint clatter of glasses from the lobby, this one seemed untouched by time, sealed off from the world outside. The air was thick, unmoving, and every step inside felt like trespassing on a secret that didn't want to be disturbed. It was as if the air itself was waiting, holding on to memories that refused to fade. Dust motes swirling in the shafts of weak sunlight that barely pierced the gloom. In the center stood a four-poster bed, its carved faces watching with silent judgment, their eyes seeming to follow every movement, as if they remembered every guest who had ever slept there. The wallpaper, once elegant, now hung in tatters, stained and peeling, its faded patterns twisting into shapes that hinted at stories best left untold, secrets pressed into the walls by time and sorrow. On a rickety desk in the corner sat a cracked black guestbook, its leather cover worn and brittle. The words embossed on the front read, "The Register of Souls." Its pages, yellowed and curling at the edges, seemed to whisper with every turn, as if each name written inside carried a weight of its own. Legend whispered among the staff claimed that anyone who signed the guestbook would vanish without a trace, erased from memory, their name fading from the minds of loved ones, until it was as if they had never existed at all. The story was passed in hushed voices, never spoken aloud after dark. The book was always hungry, always waiting for a new name to be inscribed within its pages, its hunger growing with every passing night, the candlelight flickering as if in anticipation. And tonight, as the wind rattled the window panes and the shadows deepened, the Register of Souls was ready, waiting for the next guest to write their name and become part of the room's secret forever. Lucy, a journalist chasing ghost stories, booked the infamous room to debunk its legend. She found the guestbook, its pages filled with names, some bold, most faded, all forgotten. As she flipped to the last page, her heart froze. There, in fresh black ink, was her own name, Lucy Miller. She hadn't signed it. Terror gripped her as she realized the book had already claimed her. The game was over before she knew she was playing. Panic set in, thick and suffocating, as Lucy realized she was utterly alone in the labyrinthine hotel. The silence pressed in, broken only by her own ragged breathing and the distant echoing creaks of the old building. Suddenly, a chilling sound, a scraping from the shadows, sent her heart racing. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, darkness swallowing the faint outlines of faded wallpaper and ancient doors. Desperate for safety, Lucy darted into the nearest bathroom. But when she looked into the cracked mirror, her reflection had vanished. It was as if she was being erased from existence, her presence slipping away with every second. Invisible, fading, she stumbled back as a note slid under the door. The paper was yellowed, the handwriting frantic. The fire cleanses. The page must burn. Break the curse before you are unwritten. The words sent a shiver down her spine. Hope flickered in the darkness. Maybe, just maybe, burning her name could save her from this nightmare. The lighter's flame trembled in her grasp, casting wild shadows on the peeling walls. She grabbed the guestbook, its leather cover cold and heavy, and clutched the lighter tightly. Memories of her life, her family, her stories, began to blur, slipping away with every tick of the clock. With trembling hands, she tore out the page bearing her name, the paper crackling like a final heartbeat. The air seemed to pulse with anticipation, as if the hotel itself was watching. The room grew colder, her breath visible in the air, while shadows crept along the walls, twisting and reaching for her. The sense of urgency was overwhelming. She was running out of time. Lucy steadied herself, determination burning in her eyes. She had one chance left to reclaim her story, and she was ready to face whatever darkness awaited. Lucy stood in the flickering half-light, her breath shallow, heart pounding in her chest. She held the brittle yellowed page over the wastebasket, the words inked on it trembling in her grasp. With trembling fingers, she flicked her lighter, hoping to end the nightmare that had haunted her since she checked in. But as the flame danced to life, an icy wind swept through the room, snuffing it out in an instant. The cold was unnatural, as if the room itself was alive and resisting her. From the faded wallpaper, a shadowy figure began to materialize, its form shifting and translucent, eyes burning with a desperate hunger. This was the keeper of the names, the ancient guardian of the register, determined to protect its prize at any cost. Lucy's hands shook as she fought back panic, her mind racing with memories of the names she'd seen written in the book. She struck the lighter again, her thumb raw, her resolve hardening with each failed attempt, until finally, a spark flared to life. The page caught fire, flames devouring the ink as the entity shrieked in agony. Darkness and fire swirled together, the room echoing with the sound of Lucy's name burning away, severing the bond that had trapped her. Then, as suddenly as it began, silence fell. By morning, the room was empty, sunlight filtering through dusty curtains. The guest book sat open on the desk, its pages eerily blank, as if nothing had ever happened. The Register of Souls waited patiently, its next page untouched, ready for the next unsuspecting guest to write their name and begin the cycle anew. So if you ever find yourself alone in an old hotel and you see a forgotten guest book waiting for you at the front desk, pause and think twice before you sign. Some names are never meant to be written.